downstream from the center of Salzburg, as you can see, center of the old town. We were right in the midst of those churches. The Residenz is closed today on a Tuesday, and I didn't know that, so I'll make one last shot at it tomorrow. I thought I'd take this different route. It's a pretty esplanade in the sense that it's for pedestrians, but there's also a road next to it, so it's not as nice as I think it was in either Lucerne or Zurich. They had a really beautiful walk around the lake. Last pan of the river and the castle, but as I turn to my left, just before I finish crossing over the river, you may recognize the site ahead of us. It is the Mirabell Schloss Palace Complex, and that area we walked up on top of, that we had to cross a little bridge to get to, is right straight ahead of us to the right. There's the cafe where I have a little snack before I came here yesterday and today. This is the hallway that goes to the cathedral so that the the clergy would not get their feet wet. This is called the Knights Hall. This was the audience hall that allowed the majority of the important people, but only the very important went through this door. The deeper in we get from that audience hall that we first entered, the rooms get smaller and more ornate and more exclusive as to who is allowed to enter. Only the highest of the high would even be this far, let alone beyond. In this room, there was no furniture for sitting because even the highest of nobility was required to be respectful, standing as it waited for audience with the archbishops further deeper into the system. But these magnificent tapestries gave them an opportunity to use their time in the same way that I would use my cell phone. This is the audience hall, the epicenter of power. This beautiful clock gives the days, the months, I think the week. It gives the sun and the moon, and it plays several different melodies. This very small room is the writing room, where all the records of anything and events and so forth were kept, as well as the money that you saw in that money chest. This is the sleeping room, used only when there were important guests staying overnight. This was a heating room in which someone would man it without having to disturb the Archbishop. The danger, of course, was catching his interior on fire. This room was created for the explicit purpose of displaying the art here. It was obligatory for the wealthy to impress their guests by their apparent and presumed knowledge of art by having such room and such collections. Of course, the amount of money of the people's wealth squandered for these excesses is beyond imagination. Now, this would have been a profound work of technology as well as art and craft in its day. This throne room was also used as the dining room for the Archbishop, their staff, and also festive dinners. Raining now, so I'll shoot quickly and move on. From this balcony, we get a look down into the main square near the cathedral. Now we're automatically on a higher level inside the cathedral for that unique perspective where the choir apparently sits in the organist also. It must be a thrill for an organist to play in a church of this magnitude with an organ of this magnitude and hear that astounding sound that must reverberate off of these walls and ceilings. From here you get an even greater sense of the height of these cathedrals. One can almost imagine on Christmas Eve angels flitting about through the air. This is the grand room, huge room.